95% of product launches end up in disasters. Samsung phones catching fire, the Cybertruck shattering on stage, QB spending 1.75 billion to last just 8 months. In this video, I'm going to share with you 7 successful products that were launched in 2025 and why they became successful. 2025 had some of the smartest product launches, and almost all of them broke conventional product manager wisdom in some way. Nintendo ignored the innovate or die playbook and made billions. A toothbrush company got Johnny Ive and the Kardashians talking about the same product. An AI coding tool hit a 29 billion valuation with zero marketing spend. Hi, I'm Anil Jessing. I'm a chief product manager for a successful training and consulting company, Concepts and Beyond. I'm also an adjunct professor at NYU, teaching the graduate program of project management, and a professional trainer and coach. I went through the data on this year's biggest launches looking for one thing, the single decision that made each one work. Not the features, not the timings, the one call that if made differently would have tanked the whole thing. 7 products and 7 decisions. At number 7, it's the Suri electric toothbrush. I'm starting with the toothbrush because it proves something that product managers get backwards. Suri hit 30 million revenue in 2 years. Fastest growing electric toothbrush in a category where Oral-B and Philips own 75% of the market. The founders, both ex-Procter & Gamble, did something weirdly simple. They asked people what they hated about their current toothbrush. The answers were very boring and specific. Batteries die too fast. Travel cases are bulky. That gross gunk builds up on the brush and you can never recycle the heads. Suri fixed all the 4. 40-day battery, UV sanitizing travel case, stainless steel plate that wipes clean, and plant-based recyclable heads. Instead of coming up with something new, they just removed the friction that already existed in the market. The aluminum body won design awards. Word of mouth drove 20% of the sales. Johnny Ive apparently owns one. So do the Kardashians. I still can't believe that I'm saying that sentence about a toothbrush. So what did we learn from Suri? Research what people hate, not what they want. Wants are aspirational and vague. Hatred is specific and actionable. How did they validate it? Before building anything, Suri's founders ran thousands of consumer surveys through SurveyMonkey, a test, and in-person interviews. They cast a wide net, specifically avoiding friends and family who sugarcoat feedback. But here's what made their validation approach different. They also went to dentists, not for marketing endorsements, but for technical validation. One dentist told them a lighter brush is actually better because people don't strain holding it. Another suggested adding a soft mode for people new to electric toothbrushes. I know when I'm using my electric toothbrush, I go really hard on my teeth. These weren't insights they would have found in a consumer survey. Their first 5,000 units sold out in 2 weeks. The second batch sold out in 2 weeks. That's compounding the validation. At number 6, it's Google Pixel 10 Pro. I admit, I didn't expect to put Google on this list, but the Pixel 10 Pro earned Best Android Phone of 2025 from multiple reviewers. And the reason is almost philosophical. While Samsung was shoving AI into every corner of their experience, Google practiced restraint. The Pixel's AI features are context aware. Camera Coach gives composition tips while you're framing a shot and then disappears. The AI helps when it's relevant. It shuts up when it's not. This sounds obvious, but look at how many products fail this test. Siri interrupting you mid-sentence. Every chatbot that pops up the moment you land up on the website. Most product managers think about when to show something. The best ones think about when to hide it. How did they validate this? The Pixel 10's context-aware AI came from observation of how millions of Pixel users interacted with the phone. When did they ignore AI suggestions? When did they engage? Google used this data to train the models to recognize when help was unwanted. At number 5, you got Cognizance. Devon went from 1 million ARR to 73 million in just 9 months with a 4 billion valuation. Here's what I found interesting. They succeeded by promising less. AI coding tool in 2025 claimed it would replace developers. Devon said the opposite. Their positioning is specific. An AI software developer that excels outputs that would take a junior engineer 4 to 8 hours. They targeted enterprises with massive legacy code bases, Goldman Sachs, Santander Bank, banks with millions of lines of code that needed migration, security patches, and test coverage. Boring, repetitive, and well-defined work. One customer saved 5 to 10% of developer time on security fixes. Another hit 20x efficiency on vulnerability remediation. Devon does not position to replace your senior engineers. It handles the stuff they don't want to do anyway. What really mattered was underselling and over-delivering. Most startups overpromised to generate hype. Devon set realistic expectations and then exceeded them. That's how you build the trust in the enterprise. How did they validate it? Cognition's founding team went through 8 pivots before landing on Devon. They started with cryptocurrency projects before moving to AI because they saw ChatGPT gain traction. The breakthrough moment came from their own frustration. Before Christmas of 2023, the team was struggling with a server issue for hours. They decided to give an early version of Devon a shot. It worked. That moment crystallized the product directions. They did not launch publicly. They opened access to select customers, including journalists who would write honest reviews, and described it less like an assistant helping with code and more like a real worker. They also tested Devon on actual Upwork projects, real clients, real money, real accountability. When independent testers found Devon succeeded only 15% of the time on complex tasks, Cognition did not hide those numbers. They published detailed performance metrics. That transparency built trust. At number 4, we have Perplexity AI. 780 million monthly queries, $20 billion valuation, and 38 employees. Perplexity did not try to compete with Google. CEO Arvind Nivas draw a clear line. Google is a navigation engine. It redirects you somewhere else. We want to be an answer engine. This distinction shaped everything. Perplexity synthesizes information and cites sources. You get answers, not links. You can verify claims instead of trusting blindly. The growth hack was distribution partnerships. They bundled Perplexity Pro with Airtel subscriptions in India. 640% year-over-year growth in that market. Now they're replicating with Samsung, Motorola, and possibly Apple. While competitors fight for app downloads, Perplexity gets pre-installed on devices. What really mattered? While redefining the category instead of competing in it. Better Google is a losing game. Answer engine is a new market. Here, the founding moment came from personal frustration. In fall 2022, weeks before ChatGPT launch, Srinivas was trying to find car insurance in a new city. He couldn't get a straight answer from Google. The team had built a prototype, an AI tool that summarized information from multiple websites. Srinivas tried his insurance question. It worked. That prototype became the product. 7 days after ChatGPT launched, and created a global conversation about AI, Perplexity launched publicly. They rode the wave of attention instead of waiting for the next perfect moment. Srinivas has talked about releasing products that are 80% perfect. Each release becomes a foundation for more improvement. They learn faster by shipping than by planning. The CEO ditched pitch decks. Instead of presentations, he showed investors the product. Let them use it. Let them see what worked, what did not. The authenticity converted skeptics into believers. The company's internal culture treats customer complaints like product requirements. Srinivas wakes up to hundreds of messages around social platforms. And that's how he knows there's more work to do on the platform. At number 3, there's Cursor AI. This product genuinely surprised me. 1 billion ARR by November 2025. Fastest SaaS company to hit 100 million ARR. 29.3 billion valuation by year end. And zero marketing spend. 4 MIT grads faced a classic choice. Build a Visual Studio Code extension or fork Visual Studio Code entirely. Extensions are faster, easier, and inherit millions of users. Almost every startup would take that path. Cursor AI forked. They believed AI would change coding so fundamentally that the interface itself needed to evolve. An extension would always be constrained by Visual Studio's code architecture. A fork gave them complete control to change anything. Within 3 months of writing their first line of code, they shipped. The product spread through word of mouth. By February, every Coinbase engineer had used it. Stripe adoption went from 100 to thousands. OpenAI, Midjourney, Perplexity, Shopify. The companies building the most sophisticated AI in the world were using Cursor to build it. OpenAI tried to acquire them. Cursor said no. Vibe coding became Collins Dictionary Word of the Year. Suddenly, non-developers were building software. The market expanded beyond anyone's projections. What is that one decision that mattered? If you're building something fundamentally new, don't inherit someone else's constraints. The extension would have been faster to ship, but slower to win customers. Now, how did they go about validating their product? Before Cursor, the same team spent about a year building AI tools for mechanical engineers, 3D autocomplete for CAD systems. The problem, the founders weren't mechanical engineers, intuitive sense of the workflow. It was like the blind man and the elephant problem. They couldn't feel the problem because they didn't live the problem. After 6 months of struggling with data scarcity and a difficult cold start problem, they pivoted back to their core competency, programming. This time they were building for themselves. Within 5 weeks, they had a hand roll editor from scratch. They briefly tested it internally and launched publicly just after 3 months. No extended beta, no polished onboarding, just ship. Their validation approach was unusual. They relied heavily on dog fooding, using Cursor intensively to build Cursor. Every friction point they hit became a product improvement. Their team of 15 engineers each worked with about 5 Devon instances. The product was validated by its own creation process. One finding that was counterintuitive. Initially, they planned to rely entirely on foundation models like GPT, but then they realized that custom models were important for specific use cases. Their autocomplete feature predicts multi-file code changes within 3 milliseconds. That speed requires custom training. Their validation was, can we create a product using that same product? Number 2 on this list is iPhone 17. Apple reclaimed the number 1 smartphone in 2025. 247 million units projected. For years, Apple held back features from their iPhone buyers. 120 Hz display, Pro only, always on screen, Pro only. This created artificial differentiation and pushed people towards high-end products. The iPhone 17 broke that pattern. The base model got 120 Hz, got always on, got 256 gigs, got the 48 megapixels camera system. Same $799 price. Why give away things you've been charging extra for? Apple looked at the data and realized the base iPhone was not cannibalizing the Pro. The base model were cross-shopping with Android or waiting for discounts, not really buying or just not upgrading at all. By making the base model genuinely great, Apple captured customers that they were losing entirely. What they did in China proved it. Base iPhone 17 sales doubled versus iPhone 16 because the base model finally felt like worth buying. My learning, know when your differentiation strategy is costing you more customers than it's upselling. Protecting premium features work only if people actually upgrade. If they're leaving instead, you're just losing. Now, how did they validate this hypothesis? Apple's validation approach is famously vague. They don't run groups or announce beta programs. But the iPhone 17 strategy reveals an insight. They were watching their own sales data carefully, and they realized this idea that customers were buying the base version was not comparing them with the Pro version. They were choosing between a base iPhone and an Android, or between an iPhone and keeping their old iPhone. When early sales data showed that the base iPhone 17 outperforming, they adjusted the production allocations. Initially planned at 25% base and 65% Pro, they shifted to a more balanced split. This was responding to market signals in real time. The Chinese market was deliberately used to get product research. Faster charging, 50% in 30 minutes. Longer battery life. Aggressive local marketing that emphasized the base model's value. The shift in iPhone 17 were also responses from complaints from Chinese customers who had been defecting to Chinese brands. Apple also validated through their retail purchase. Their stores let them observe purchase behavior. Which models are customers gravitating towards? Where did the sale conversations stall? The store became a continuous research lab disguised as a shopping experience. And finally, at number 1, we've got Nintendo Switch 2. 3.5 million units in 4 days. 10 million by September 2025. Fastest selling Nintendo console in history. The conventional wisdom says sequels need to innovate. Disrupt yourself before someone else. The Switch 2 strategy ignored this completely. Nintendo instead fixed every complaint from the original. The Joy-Con drift solved with magnetic controllers. The too small screen now 7.9 inches with 120 Hz. The pathetic 32 gig storage now replaced with 256 gigs. The graphics gap with PlayStation and Xbox, now 4K output. Backward compatibility with all 150 Switch owners' game libraries. Nothing new, just refinement. The launch title choice was calculated. Mario Kart World instead of Zelda. Zelda excites core gamers. Mario Kart is played from ages 8 to 80. Nintendo always wants families, not just the enthusiasts. The marketing was a masterclass in control scarcity. January announcement with a trailer showing almost nothing. No price, no release date, no specs. For 3 months, every gaming forum dissected frame by frame, trying to guess screen size and button placement. Free marketing from obsessed fans. Pre-orders used an invite system. Scarcity perception. Managed demand. No PS5 style shortages that made Sony look incompetent. At $449, the Switch 2 cost 50% more than the original's launch price. Nintendo bet that value and not novelty would justify the premium. They were right. My learning? Ignore the innovation pressure. Sometimes your customers don't want something new. They want the thing they already love, but better. Nintendo's validation started with the original's failure. A 2020 survey found 40% of Switch users experienced the Joy-Con drift. Lawsuits piled up. Nintendo's president publicly apologized. Rather than defend the product, Nintendo documented the complaints. Battery life, storage size, Joy-Con drift, screen size, processing power. Each complaint became a design requirement for the next generation. The magnetic Joy-Con controllers almost happened in the original Switch. Nintendo developers took prototypes to the then president for feedback. The magnets were too weak. Controllers wobbled. They scrapped the idea. But the team didn't give up. They continued researching magnets for years. When the technology improved, they tried again. Nintendo also validated through control scarcity. The invite-only pre-order system was demand management and market research. Which demographics signed up? How quickly did invites convert to purchases? The system generated data even as it generated sales. The launch title decision came from demographic analysis. Mario Kart has broader appeal than Zelda across ages, genders, and gaming experience. By choosing Mario Kart, Nintendo validated their target market, families upgrading together, not just hardcore gamers buying for themselves. Post-launch, Nintendo sends surveys to Switch 2 owners asking about their experience. Battery life, screen quality, controller feel. The validation loop doesn't end at launch. It continues indefinitely. 7 products, 1 pattern I didn't expect. None of these wins came from breakthrough technology or massive budgets. They came from restraint, from reading the market calmly and clearly and resisting the urge to do more than necessary. Suri fixed what people hated instead of imagining what they love. Google built AI that knows when to disappear. Devon promised less than it could deliver. Perplexity refined the game instead of playing Google's. Cursor forked when extending was easier. Apple gave away its premium differentiators. Nintendo refined when everybody expected revolution. But look at how they validated their decisions. Suri ran thousands of surveys and talked to dentists before building. Cognition tests Devon on real Upwork projects. Cursor dogfooded so intensely, they used their own product to build their company. Nintendo tracked years of customer complaints and turned them into design specs. The pressure in product management is always to add features, add innovation, add complexity. The best launches this year did just the opposite. They removed friction. They restrained scope. They trusted that solving real problems beats chasing imaginary ones. That's harder than it sounds. Your stakeholders want more. Your competitors are shipping more. The press rewards breakthroughs and revolutionary and first ever. But really, what does the market care about? It cares about whether people buy or don't buy. If you want to go deeper on making these calls for your product and to know when to add and when to subtract, when to lead the market and when to follow it, I am delivering a 4-week workshop called Idea to Revenue, in which I teach you how to take your idea and create a working and successful product. We will cover how you validate, how you create offers that customers cannot ignore, and how you create leads that customers would want to buy your product. The workshop starts in early March. Scan the QR code or visit the link in the description below. If you sign up by December 31st, before the clock strikes midnight, you can use the code FESTIVE50 for a 50% discount. Have a happy new year, and see you in the new year with more videos on AI, product management, and leadership. Wish you health, wealth, and prosperity from me and from Concepts and Beyond.